I'm going to start recording now.
Got it.
I'm calling this meeting to order at 7:10 p.m. This is our October monthly membership meeting. And we had some really great responses to our guest speaker this evening. We had 20 registrants tonight. And so I'm sure a lot of times we trickle in along the way. People are just getting home from work and getting settled down and grabbing a bite. So this will all work out. I'm going to go over a little bit of with Dallas business before I turn it over to you. Gail, did you have an introduction prepared for our speaker?
I have a few things I'll say, and then we'll just let Marcia talk.
Okay, perfect. As you guys know, we're not going to have our workup this month because we are all hands on deck for the Topaz Film Festival. We've been waiting all year for this to happen, and it's coming up, and we're gearing up for it. We're saving all of our energy so that we can be at that festival. It's going to be online the 22nd through the 28th, and then we go live in person for the 28th, 29th, and 30th. We will have our Topaz Awards on opening night in live person in Carrollton is where our theater is going to be. Please check the website. We've been talking about it. It's on our newsletter that we just sent out. Our festival directors, Connie Lowe and Alicia Pasquale, have worked tirelessly. They have really brought this film festival from where it was and where it is now is just leaps and bounds. We are so honored that they have done this work for us for the last 4 years. And the first 2 were while they were actually running the organization and also being the chairs of the Topaz Film Festival. And now they are executive directors. So kudos to them and thank you. And to Lisha and Andrea, Lisha Brock, who's a former president, and Andrea, who is our head programmer. And this festival wouldn't happen without them. And so we're just very grateful for them. And we are so looking forward to seeing all of you in person. And please leave a note in the chat if you plan on attending. Of course, you do know that if you are a member of Women in Film Dallas, you get discounted tickets to the film festival. And we are always looking for volunteers, and we are still looking for sponsors. I think we have until, what is it, October 7th to get some last minute sponsorships in. So if you have a business or a production company that would like to be a sponsor of our fabulous film festival that features women above the line and women in leading roles and women storytellers, then we would really appreciate any support that we could get. Other than that, it is elections are coming up for our upcoming board of directors. The board this year has is working to amend the bylaws so that we those who run and get chosen for an office. This is the way it was done in WIFD Dallas many years ago. Instead of just signing up for 1 year to represent the board, it would be a 2-year term. And we will have an open forum and a special meeting about that so that we can have all the questions answered as to when, why, how, what that will look like. And basically it's because the first year you're kind of getting your footing, and then the second year you're finally kind of really getting it together and feeling, being able to reap what you sow kind of deal. So we want to make sure that we know, Gail and I have served together for 2 years, and we know that we feel even at this point, we are just now getting our footing. We came out of a pandemic. We really just were trying to get people to show their faces on a Zoom call. And no, that was not anything against you, Marcia. We've got your face. We love you. That was a joke. That was a joke. But we really were just getting people to show up. And then this year, now we've been able to create some really great programming and some events for people to attend that are really for the mission of what we do at Women in Film. So be looking out for that. If you're interested in being on the board, you can always email our admin, and you can look online for more information about what it takes to be on the board of directors. And if you are not interested in the time commitment of being on the board, but you would like to participate, we are just thrilled to have committee leaders and people that lead specific committees for certain tasks. So if you feel passionate about doing something like that, just let us know what level you are willing to volunteer and commit and be a part of growing our organization and making us even better than we are right now, which I'm not gonna lie, I think we're pretty great, but that's just me. Okay, so the other thing I just want to mention, of course, before the Women in Film Topaz Film Festival is DIF, the Dallas International Film Festival, which we are so happy to have here in Dallas. And I know I have a film that will be showing at DIF this year that I'm super excited about. It'll be our Dallas premiere of our film. So please be on the lookout, and we hope to see all of you at one of these amazing film festivals that is happening right here in Dallas in the month of October. So,
mention Frame of Mind, the TV show of Texas Independent Films, is starting on KERA Thursday night at 10:30.
Ooh.
It'll be running till the end of November on Thursday night. It's the 30th anniversary of the show, and this year it's being shown all over Texas. It's in every PBS station in the state of Texas. They all have it on different nights, some on Friday, some on Sunday, some on Thursday. But the thing about Frame of Mind is that more people watch television than will go to any film festival. This from somebody who used to run a film festival. So thousands and thousands of people will see the work of great filmmakers, and our opening one Thursday night is Cheryl's film Honk, which is an incredibly important film made by an incredibly talented women filmmaker from Dallas. And
that's happening on the 6th, is that correct? The Hunk?
Yeah,
Okay.
Honk is, yes. And every Thursday night after that until the end of November. 10:30.
I actually saw Honk at the Julian Dubuque Film Festival. It's a lovely film, and it's such a great story.
It's really uplifting, and there's another uplifting film with it that is a very interesting and beautiful match. It's a very, in these dark days of awful politics, it's a very uplifting evening of films.
Exciting.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Bart. We appreciate you.
And with that, I have to go home. Good luck, guys, and I will help.
Thank you, Bart. I know we'll run into you in the next couple of weeks. So
And
big hugs, Ben.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Thanks,
Bart.
Bart.
Tiffany, what is your film?
So my film is called The Stranger. It's starring James Tupper. It is a short film. It is kind of a murder mystery, Agatha Christie of the South type short film. We are, of course, always wanting to turn it into a feature or maybe even an 8 to 12 part television series. But it's with Ohm Films. The director and writer is Dan Burks, along with Niraj Bhatia, who sponsors all the film festivals and is an executive producer, and we really love working with them.
And Tiffany, I'm sorry, did you write it or did you direct it?
No, I'm one of the producers. I was the producer and the production designer. Yes. What, did somebody say something?
I
Nope.
think it was just somebody who was unmuted.
Okay. All right. So yes, and we did not submit to Topaz this year because we thought it was going to interfere with another film festival that we had already been accepted to, but we will be at DIF. So look for The Stranger starring James Tupper at DIF this year.
That's exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'll stop talking in just a second about my stuff and we'll move on to you. But we did get accepted to the LA Shorts Film Festival. That's where we premiered in LA. We were at Beverly Hills and we were also at the Newport Film Festival. So doing good stuff.
Yay.
And I got to sign my first DocuSign to get my film into the long list for the Academy Awards last week. So that was super exciting.
No, that's awesome.
Okay, so that's what we've got going on for the month of October. The only other thing that I have to discuss or just kind of throw out there, guys, is our end of the year extravaganza. As you know, we have an end of the year party. We have it slated for December 14th. Is that what we went with? 14th. It's that Wednesday in December. And of course, this calendar doesn't go that far. It will be on a Wednesday evening. We will be having our membership showcase. So we will be asking very shortly for submissions for you to enter your reels or anything that you want to show from 3 to 7 minutes at our membership showcase. And we are still looking for a theme. So if you have an idea for a theme for our party this year, we had thrown some things around like femme fatale or your favorite actress or performer or film noir or something fun, because we definitely want to bring some production designers in and let us decorate the place, and we all want to wear costumes and do something super fun. So be thinking about that and let us know in the comments if you have any suggestions. We may just do like a little poll out there and throw out some of these ideas and see what you guys want to do, right? Okay, and we will also be announcing the new board at that final meeting. The only other thing that we have is grants and scholarships. Grants will be coming later on, but right now scholarships are open. Please go to the website and look for the all of how to apply for a scholarship, and also what the criteria for submitting for a scholarship is. It's for a graduate student or an undergrad who is working in the field of film and television. Did I get everything, Gail?
I think you've talked about everything.
Okay, great. I did that in 10 minutes. I'm super proud of myself. Okay, well, let's move on to our main platter for the evening.
The one who
going-
cannot be seen.
The one who cannot be seen but can be heard. So ladies, just as a reminder, please keep your computers on mute, and then at the end we'll ask for Q&As, and if you have comments, we will be moderating. Gail and I will be looking at questions in the chat, and at the end, if you still have things that you would like to discuss, we can do that. But I'm going to turn it over to Gail now to introduce our speaker for this evening.
Okay, well, I want to say, first of all, that Alicia Pasquale, who was one of the co-directors of Topaz, reached out to me today and said, oh, I see that Marcia Carroll is going to be your guest tonight, and she has a film in Topaz, and I'm sure hoping that you will plug Topaz. So I said, yes, Alicia, that is why I invited Marcia here. We would have the experience of having one of the Topaz filmmakers actually speaking with us about her journey, about getting accepted to Topaz, and about what happens from here. I want to just follow up on something that Bart said, which was, more people will see Frame of Mind than will go to any film festival. You can attend Topaz virtually and or in person. So you can buy a pass and see everything online. You can see it as many times as you want to online. You can also, oh, I can't make everything, attend some events in person and some online. I've been doing that as a screener, and it's a very private and sometimes preferable way of viewing these films. So just know, just because you can't get to Carrollton to see the films doesn't mean that you can't support these filmmakers, even get involved in discussion with these filmmakers and see their work. All right, so I want to say that. Also, there was some difficulty with buying tickets the way that it was originally scheduled, the way it was originally set up. You can now go to the Women in Film Dallas, WIF Dallas.org website and buy your ticket. And as a member, you get 50% off, which is fantastic. So I've plugged it, it's been recorded, and now I can face Alicia. So Marcia, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here in voice, in spirit, and in your two-dimensional image. So thank you so much. Marcia, we've spoken a little bit, and I know a little bit about you. I've been going to your various websites and social media pages, places. But what I would love for you to start with is you've had an amazing journey. Those of you who've not read Marcia's bio, she begins by saying she believes in living spherically. And I have a sense of what I think that means, but Marcia, I would love for you to tell us what living spherically is for you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. When I spoke to Gail first on Friday and we were discussing tonight, I was so excited. But I did say to her, you know, I don't think I'm that interesting. So, I mean, I hope I can fill the time. And I'm just really delighted to see your faces, and especially you, Tiffany, because I actually haven't met you in person. And I'm so sorry for my technical incapabilities. So my husband's coming up. Hopefully he can get me up there, and so we can see each other. So living spherically to me is just living in many directions so that life doesn't stagnate, so that your creativity doesn't get stymied. You know, even when I am working during the day, I feel like I try to multitask purposely, simply because I just think it makes life just much more interesting. So when I first started out years ago as a young person, I wish I knew then what I know now, which is so many opportunities can open up to you. We can focus on a particular goal, thinking that we want to go in one particular direction. And we sometimes, I know I did, fail to see the opportunities right before our eyes that can get us basically to the same place, but in a different way. So to me, living spherically is just keeping open to possibility and keeping open to opportunities that come along our pathways, and perhaps we don't even think that's what they are. So that's what living spherically kind of means to me. On a whole, I started off just desperately wanting to be a successful actress, and I ended up missing some things along the way. And then when I finally opened up to the possibility of what could be out there, I ended up getting into, you know, I went from pursuing acting in New York City, and I ended up becoming a writer and an associate producer for CBS and NBC News. Nothing I ever thought would happen. And it really made me realize that I think my passion, I mean, I love acting so much, but I feel like my spirit creative place is writing. And so that's just kind of how, you know, my journey took me from pursuing acting in New York City to getting a gig on CBS and NBC, a fourth affiliate, pretty large station. It was very stressful. Then I got a show host position for the QVC shopping channel. Then I ended up here in Dallas, and my husband, we had moved because of his job. And I ended up becoming a community columnist for the Dallas Morning News, which I really enjoyed that so much. I was covering the Rockwall Heath area while I was also freelancing, writing for design publications, travel publications, and also acting here in Dallas. So that's kind of how I got to the Dallas area. But so living spherically is just living in many directions. You know, if you love to travel and you love to write and you love to direct, why can't we do it all? And I think sometimes we stop ourselves from the possibility of living fully.
Marcia, if we can just back up a little bit. So where are you from? Where did you grow up?
So I was born in New Jersey, although when I say that, I'm like, not like the New Jersey housewives, New Jersey.
It's where I'm from too. You don't have to make excuses.
Are you from New Jersey?
Yes.
What part of New Jersey are you from?
Belleville, just outside of Newark.
Okay, great. So I'm
Mhm.
South Jersey, outside of Philadelphia, Haddonfield, and I just get kicked a lot when I say I'm from New
Yeah, I
Jersey.
know, I know. Did you have an undergraduate degree in journalism or in acting? What was your preparation? How did you first get into this?
So I got a scholarship to Ithaca College. I did not finish at Ithaca College, and then I ended up going to Rutgers University. I ended up not finishing there either because a year before I was graduating, I got the writing job for CBS and NBC News. So no, I never actually completed my full degree. When I was in New York City, I studied at the American Academy of Dramatic Art. I studied with Broadway director Terry Schreiber. I really credit him for the meat of my, crafting, learning the craft of acting and my technique. And then I also studied with Beatrice Straight and Jim Berlin at Chekhov Studio, which I know you are
Mhm.
very proficient at. In fact, do you teach it yourself?
Yes, I'm a certified Chekhov instructor. Yeah.
So that was a fabulous experience to study with both of them. And then, as I said, I came back to Philadelphia. My career took off in other ways, and I didn't end up college, which is unusual because most people think you have to, but in my experience, it wasn't necessary.
Well, I'm really interested because we have so many people here who are established in their careers, but then some who will be watching this now or later who are trying to break into the business. And how do you get a job writing for CBS, NBC when you don't have a degree? I mean, did you walk in the door and say, hire me? How did you do that?
I went back to school after leaving New York City. I'd been there for several years. And while I loved it, I did the soap opera circuit. I did international commercials. I was a stand-in for Patty Duke on the George Washington miniseries. I was a stand-in for Madonna. I did a lot of equity showcases, but it just did me in. When you work and live, when you live in New York City, you pay for New York City and state tax. And then when you work outside in a different state, you pay that tax as well. And it just kind of slammed me tax-wise. So I went back to Philadelphia, went back to school, and an internship with CBS. And they hired me, and they didn't care whether I had finished or not.
So internships, this is really important because internships have become, was this a paid internship or was it a freebie?
It was
Remember?
free.
Yeah.
And I worked for 3 months and I loved every second of it. It was really, really fun. And then after my internship ended, it was over the summer, they called me and said, we want you back. I became a production assistant, and within a year I was a writer. And within 6 months, I was associate producing the morning news breaks in the morning. I also did a lot of undercover investigating for them. It was a pressure cooker, though, I have to say. It did end up wearing me down. During the 90s when I was working there, it was also a very sexist industry. So it was a very different industry than it is now. And that's when I kind of had enough, and I went to home shopping, which is kind of funny, People think selling them up is easy. It's not as easy as you think. But that was a different type of pressure cooker. And I really value both of those experiences, but I was happy when I moved on.
Mhm. So you came to Dallas. So when you found yourself in Dallas because your husband's job brought you here, how did you introduce yourself to the Dallas scene? You were starting all over again here, yes?
Yes. So I think my first audition was at, oh my gosh, which theater was it? In Addison, Water Tower.
Water Tower or?
Yes, and I got cast in Enchanted April.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started doing more shows, but I'm an equity actress, so it's not quite as easy, especially in my age group. But I started working regularly at Contemporary Theater of Dallas. I was there, working on and off for like 10 years, behind the scenes, on stage. I became a board member. I became very good friends with the Longcar family and Sue Longcar. And so that was my experience, while I was also freelance writing for magazines and other publications. I did a travel magazine, several design publications. I did website content, which I sometimes still do. So I was sort of just, a broad stroke of different activities while I was also writing the column.
So up to this point, though, you hadn't done any actual video or film directing. Most of what you've been doing was writing.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. So we're starting to move into the next chapter.
Mhm.
You mentioned your relationship with the lawn cars, and I know that that is one of the things that led to your interest in the subject matter of your film, Jaded.
Mhm.
So as you can, I would love for you to speak about what that very personal journey was that took you from on stage in front of the camera to moving into writing and being behind the camera.
Well, I think with every creative person that I know, I can't think of one that isn't the case. You're creative in one specific area that you choose because perhaps it's your passion or it comes very naturally to you. But it seems to me, in my experience in witnessing others that are successful in the industry and myself, you can segue into other areas fairly quickly. I mean, it's almost a natural thing. If you're creative, most creatives are creative in a myriad of ways. If you're a choreographer, chances are you dance and direct as well. If you're a director, chances are you also produce and write. I mean, I just think that's the way it is. So we can't allow ourselves to be pigeonholed in one category. I think being on sets my entire life, segueing into film was a very natural process for me. I feel like I see things cinematically anyway. I may not be technically proficient, but we can all hire people who are to fill in the gaps where we are lacking. And as long as you can do that, then I think we shouldn't hold ourselves back from experiencing and investigating other opportunities creatively that really turn us on. What happened I was so happy at the Contemporary Theater of Dallas. They were the last few, there were some of the happiest years of my life in every area of my world. I was very good friends with them. It was a fun theater. It was very unconventional. My daughter was best friends with their daughter, Grace. Grace was like a second daughter to me. And then what happened is Grace committed suicide. I'll never forget the phone call. It's changed my life dramatically from the time it happened 5 years ago. Our lives were obliterated, completely decimated. And I speak, she wasn't my child. So we can only imagine what it was like for the Longcar family after this tragedy, or if any of you have been touched by suicide. It really is a tragedy unlike any other. I shut down completely for 3 years. I stopped writing, I stopped acting, I did nothing. I was just personally trying to navigate through the grief and help my friend as much as I could. And then when I finally sat down at the computer, because I did have a lot of pent up stuff, I went on a couple of retreats that were really beneficial for me, just kind of healing through some of that toxicity that erupts after that nature. And I literally remember the day I just started going at the keyboard furiously, not even knowing, not planning anything. And I fleshed out this story in a couple of hours of all the stuff that had been smoldering within for about 3 years. And when I read it, I felt compelled to pursue it. I just felt like this channel for grief kind of morphed into this passion project that jump-started my life. And I just felt this indescribable incentive, like I had to pursue it. I wanted people to see what happens to a family immediately following a death of this kind. Because what happens is, all families have dysfunction. No family's perfect. They're a fabulous family. But what happens is when something of this proportion, every little tiny crack becomes it's almost just, it becomes magnified. And I just felt going through the process with the long cars, you know, it's like you go through this awful thing. And then 8 days later, Brian Longcar dies from an accidental cocaine overdose. After you get through the funerals and the attention and the memorials, you know, the world goes on and you're left with this gaping crater in the center of your chest, trying to navigate a new normal. And I wanted people to see the family. I just felt compelled. So Jaded is a work of fiction, but it is strongly and closely inspired by Grace's passing. I really didn't think anything would come of it, you know, because I'm not well connected. I'm not a very good salesperson. I don't really like the whole marketing thing. I really work hard at trying to navigate that myself. And I feel so, first of all, I'm totally grateful about being included in Topaz. And I know it sounds overly sentimental, but I think being recognized and seen by other women in the place where you live that you have admired from afar is a huge thing. So it means so much to me. I get emotional, but I am deeply grateful for it.
So Marcia, two things. One, you had to, after you wrote the script, pull together a team of people who could help you make this passion project happen. So if you could speak briefly about that, I'd love to hear about that. And the second thing, because I want to make sure we have some time to interact with the people who are watching, the process of going from, as you said, I hate marketing, the process of taking this film and getting it out there and getting it accepted to so many film festivals. We just had a symposium a couple of weeks ago, which you and I talked about. And one of the panelists was Rebecca Smith, Dr. Rebecca Smith, who is known as the Film Festival Doctor. And her mission is to help people get into film festivals, win awards, further their career. So I would love to know how you got your team together and then how you moved forward with the film to the festival success that you've had.
Thank you so much. First of all, Gail, I just want to tell you, you have a lovely interview style, and you have such a beautiful voice. So I'm enjoying this so much. Thank you for guiding me. Well, it's interesting. It almost does become kind of a full-time job. I think there are two things I've really learned throughout the process, and they're not that awe-inspiring. We probably all have them in our hat, you know, in our tool case. But the first is to really trust your instincts. I think it is so important to really know what they are and to trust those intuitive vibes that you get. I think it's really important to be very nurturing and protective of your creative process and who you allow in that space. And secondly, I think building the right team is the difference between a successful project and an unsuccessful project. And the reason I say that is because it's just so important, I think, when you are building a team, especially with a subject matter that's so personal, important to you personally, you know, you really want to make it happen. And of course, I didn't know whether it was going to work or not. I was really taking a risk, which we all have to do in order to get anywhere. But you want to make sure that you're hiring people or bringing people onto your team that, you know, work and think alike, that have the same philosophy as you. I really, you know, some people work differently than I do, but I love a set where you feel supportive, it's nurturing, where, yeah, you're hired for a specific job, but it's a collaborative experience. And I worked with a lot of women in film, Dallas people, Anna Terry, who is a lovely person. She's as beautiful on the outside as she is on the inside. And I just adore her. Her whole family was in the movie. Morgana Shaw, I called her up on the phone. I didn't think she could even do it. And she's such a brilliant actress. And she was just lovely in the role that she played, and I loved having her. Another person was Sydney Cox, who I did not know. I think she's on the board at Women in Film Dallas, isn't she?
She was our treasurer 2 years ago.
Okay, well, she's just fantastic. So I had her on the Jaded set. I also had her on the documentary, which is the real version of the documentary version of what happened to the Longcar family. And I just love with her. She's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, where she was hired as a script supervisor, but she offers so much more, you know, where everyone's kind of going beyond their little box of expertise and helping everyone else out. So I think building the right team is just such an important thing. And the way I did it was just kind of phone calls and people that I knew. In fact, the entire cast, we had to film it during the pandemic. We got shut down because we were supposed to start filming the week it hit. I was devastated. The entire cast are actors that I know their work personally, and they also were personally connected to the story because they knew Grace personally, except for one actor. So every actor in the movie had a connection and a desire to be a part of the story. I think that really helped a lot. And I do think there was some divine intervention. I think that we had all the odds against us. The pandemic, a really little budget. I made the movie for $13,000. I ended up spending an additional $7,000 for COVID precautions on set, which I took really seriously. I felt so responsible for everyone. We shot 21 pages of script in 72 hours without incident. So I do think there was some sort of, I don't know, divine, I like to call it divine intervention. Maybe Grace was looking down on us, I don't know. And also I had the support of Sue Longcar and the Grace Longcar Foundation. So that was also really special to me. I think that, I don't know if there's really anything else I can say about it, except that anyone can do this. You think that you can't, and if you want to make a movie, or if the industry isn't giving you what you want for your own career, then you have to take control and make it happen.
Well, thank you. That was wonderful. And you even shared your budget with us, which was one of the questions that I had. And $7,000 for pandemic precautionary, COVID precautionary materials is quite incredible to hear.
I went overboard on that. I was scared, you know, it was right. You know, we got a window of opportunity. We were supposed to film in March. Of course, we got shut down, and I just kept trying to keep this team together, because you create this team and of course people disperse because they're all working. And then we got this window of opening from SAG in October, and so we did the whole zone system, which I think does work. You know, rapid testing, N95 masks, and we went a little overboard with things, but you know, in that situation, more is better.
Well, let's move on to the whole festival thing. So, all right, you got it done. You shot it in 72 hours. Now you have to edit it, go into post. And then what was the whole movement into the world of film festivals, which can be expensive, frustrating, confusing, time consuming? What was that? And you had incredible success. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't go into it completely blind. I did do research. I'm kind of type A personality. So I did research the types of festivals I thought would be receptive to the kind of material that we had. Suicide is a growing epidemic, but it's not particularly original, and it's not a happy topic, obviously. So, you know, I do think it's important that when you are investigating the festival scene, and I think you should put some time into it, that you're looking for festivals that show and screen the type of work that you're doing. I think that's really important. And I didn't do enough of that, but I did enough of that to make a difference. I also went by instinct. Some of the festival write-ups that I liked or that I had been to, I investigated their website pages and the types of movies that they were screening, obviously. And then I set a budget. So I had a separate budget ahead of time for how much I was going to spend on submissions, and they can get pricey. I
Right.
think I've spent probably around, this is off the top of my head, but I think like $3,000 just on festival submissions. Out of all of the festivals that I have submitted to, and I'm not even sure how many there are at this point, Jaded has been an official selection in about 35. I think it's won 10 awards or 15 awards. It's also been a semi-finalist numerous times, a finalist numerous times, and an honorable mention. It's done really well for a little movie, you know, competing against budgets of, you know, 4 times the amount, and no connections. I do think it can be political. I didn't experience that, but I'm sure, you know, when you get into the big ones like Sundance and stuff, you still have to try. So it's been a wonderful experience though. I have met the most sensational people at these festivals, talented creatives that, you know, it has been a lovely, lovely experience. It really has been worth all of it, but it can become a full-time job. You know what well, you know, I'm sure you know, because you've done a lot of film.
So let me, I only want to take just a couple more minutes and then leave 10 or 15 minutes for Q&A. So now that you have this narrative film that has had great success, you are moving into the world of documentary filmmaking. So can you talk a little bit about, because the subject matter is the same, yes, it is about suicide, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And so how are you finding that experience, this experience of making a documentary?
I'm finding it overwhelming. You know, I made Jaded as fictional inspired story, Grace's death, and then, you know, Sue was very much, I want to tell the real story. And so we decided to do the documentary from a mother's perspective. It's basically Losing Grace, Finding Hope is the title. We shot it in March. I have one more day of backup shooting coming up. We're now in post-production. I work really instinctually. I've never done a documentary before. I feel like I don't feel overwhelmed in the sense of I don't know what I'm doing. I feel overwhelmed in the sense of responsibility I feel for the outcome. And maybe that's something I'm doing to myself.
Hmm.
It's going well, but I don't, you know how you're like in the middle of a project and there is a moment where you're like, okay, yeah, okay, now I can start breathing again. I see it, it's here. I'm not there yet. So I've been actually hand transcribing every interview since we shot it. I know there's software for that, but I can't work that way. I have to like really be ingrained in every word. So I kind of like it. And I'm going to get to that point. I'm getting closer. It's been fascinating. Again, I always come back to trusting your gut. I think that is the way I kind of approach everything. And it really has never led me astray. Do you feel that way in your experience?
Mhm. Well, I mean, I've worked a lot as a stage director, and for me, the months, sometimes longer, of preparation with a script is challenging. Eventually you feel like, oh, I've got a form, I have a set, I have a design concept, I have sound, I have casting ideas. And then you cast it and you go, oh my God, everything changed. And then you go into rehearsals and everything changes again. And then you go into tech and it's like, oh my God, it's changing again. So it continues to evolve. And I know what you mean about you feel like you're almost there. And sometimes when you feel like you're almost there, it gets scary because I'm almost there. And, you know, what am I going to do for the rest of the time I have to work on this if it's ready, you know?
Or you think you're almost there and then you're like, oh, I'm not. I thought I was, but whoops, I overreached.
Right. Well, I hope, my hope is that you will be able to have interaction with other documentary filmmakers at Topaz. Or maybe there are other documentary filmmakers right here. I know that we have, such as Monica Watkins, documentary filmmakers in Women in Film Dallas, who might be great, if not resources, sounding boards, or people that you might share or just bounce some stuff off of. So that's my wish for you, that you have that experience.
I would love that. Thank you.
So, but what I'd love to do, because it's already 5 of 8, I'd love to take some time to see if we have anybody in the group tonight who's attending, if they have any questions. So nobody's put anything in the chat that I see.
I had some comments and
You
some
have-
little
okay.
things to add or to ask. First of all, how long is the film that's in Topaz?
It's 29 minutes and 50 seconds.
Wow. How hard
So
was it to cut?
it's long.
How hard was it though to cut something that's so personal?
You know, Tiffany, when I first saw the footage, I almost lost it. You know how you first see it, you're like, oh my God,
How are we gonna make
what have I
this?
done? What have I done? And then my husband, who is the executive producer, said, wait, just calm down. It's all there. It's not there well right now, but it's there. Me. And then you just start whittling away. So we started off at like, I think 48 minutes, and it was just way too long, obviously. And then I just kept cutting it. And then I got to a point where, you know, I wanted to submit it to film festivals like DIF. I think their limit was like 25 minutes, but I just wasn't willing to cut anymore. And I think you just have to make that determination for yourself and trust. I could have cut more. I wasn't willing to. And for a couple of reasons. For the performances, some of the performances were so lovely, I just could not eliminate them. But also, I wanted to sort of tell a full story, and this was kind of a big story. So I felt I came in at the right time limit. Have you had that challenge with?
Oh yeah, the first film I ever produced was 45 minutes long, and it was for AFI. They actually created a spot for us and let us do a long short, but that is an exception to the rule. Like, that never happens. So that was, we knew people. It was a little political. We had friends in high places, but we talked about that at the symposium, in fact, about when to cut, when not to cut. And, you know, how, if you're maybe a newer filmmaker, you know, maybe shorten it up so you can get seen by more people. And then, but if it is a story like what you're talking about, sometimes you just can't cut it without losing integral parts of the story, which leads me to my next question. And then I'll let the membership have some time with you as well. But dealing with such an emotional piece, were there moments where you guys just had to kind of stop and take a breath?
There were no moments like that because there was no time. I mean, I didn't intend it to go this way, but I ended up writing, producing, directing, and starring in it. And I didn't intend to do that. There were some shifts and things that occurred that caused me to, time-wise, budget-wise, and also the pandemic hit. And I think with the pandemic hitting, it was actually a good choice that I wore so many hats, because I wanted less people on set, obviously, but I could make decisions quicker, right? I mean, we literally got on set, it was 3 takes per scene. That's it. I did no playbacks. I completely depended upon my crew to say, we got it. That's pretty scary territory to be in. So that's why it's kind of a miracle project that we pulled it off. And that was a good crew, right? That's a crew that's cohesive. And that's why I was talking about, you know, the team thing, you know, like, I don't care if you're the executive producer. I don't care if you're paying for the whole thing or you're the PA. You matter, and you matter equally. And that is important to me. I want everyone to be nurtured, supported. I want everyone to feel well fed, appreciated. And I think if you create that environment, everyone brings it because they want to be there. And so when I talk about who you let into your creative world, I think it's human nature to hear someone else's view of something. I think it's perfectly natural and have your take on it and want to share that. But as a creative person, usually we're very we're empaths, right? And we're very open to receiving, and sometimes we can allow that to interfere. And we've got to be really careful about protecting it. That's not being mean, that's being smart, right? That's being true to yourself and being smart. And the other thing I just wanted to say to any young filmmaker out there, all those insecurities we have about how we look, and gosh, I'm a middle-aged woman, I still have them, but all those insecurities, all those quirks, all those things you can't stand about yourself, they're gifts. Embrace them. Those are the things that make you unique. That's why when you go to an audition and I go to an audition, maybe you get the part because you're more in touch with that part of yourself. It's that uniqueness that makes our works special. So through all of these challenges with filmmaking, I think the most important thing to take out of it is just that gut reaction. And even when you're trying to time the film and you want to get into certain festivals, sometimes you've got to go a different way and forego the exposure for the personal gratification of the project and creating what you feel you need to create in the long run.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
So Pam Doherty is asking, is the documentary a short or is it a full length? Or do we know yet? Do we know yet?
Well, that's such an interesting question because, you always think it's going to be a short, right? So it started off as a short, but it's not looking like it's going to be one. It's looking like it's going to be more of a feature. Yeah. I'll know better in probably a month, but I'm quite certain it's going to be a feature. I think it's going to be 60 minutes. I don't certainly want to go over 70. I'm going to try to keep it as tight as I can. Right now, for most festivals, the cutoff is about 40 minutes. I think 40 and under, you're kind of short, and over 45, you're a feature.
Yeah.
I know her name. I know Pam Doherty. I know her name.
Yeah, she's an actress.
Yes.
In Dallas. Yes.
I'm here.
There
I'm
she
just not
is.
letting you look at me.
I know. Well, I want you to look at me, but I don't know how.
You just check start video at the bottom.
I
We've
know,
been
but
trying it.
it won't let me pick a different for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh.
But thank you.
So is there anyone else, seen or unseen, who has a question or a comment that they'd like to share?
Oh, I know. When do you think the documentary will be available out?
We're in post-production right now. I'd love to have a rough cut by mid-November. I'd love to have a final cut by January, but I think I'm being ambitious. I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't like to sit on projects very long. I feel like the project and myself gets stale in my choices. I'm more of a one-hit wonder. I think my first choice is usually my best. So I'm hoping I can forge ahead, and we could have it in festivals by next year.
I have a question if no one else is. Do we have any other questions? Because I can always ask the question.
I'm not seeing any.
Can you talk a little bit more about your crew and who you took with you to your next project?
Yes, I can. Also, Tiffany, my husband said, is there any possibility the controls are locked and opening up me? I don't know. I don't know how that works. He just texted me.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it were only,
would be everyone.
it would be everyone, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just got a text from Jasmine. Hi, Jasmine. I met Jasmine at another festival, and it's so lovely to connect with you, sweetheart. So I hope that we'll get to catch up and you'll come to Topaz. I would love for you to come to Topaz and we could see each other there. Jasmine Booker. I don't know if Tiffany, if you and Gail can see her. Yes, so Hi, Tiffany. So basically I had hired, I connected with a cinematographer named Noah Wilcox, friends of mine's son. I had thought another cinematographer was engaged, but he wasn't, and it got kind of muddy. And his name was Noah, and I allowed Noah to bring his team of people in for the most part. In terms of the cast, I already said I cast people that I knew their work personally, and they knew the long car story, so they were very engaged. In fact, a lot of the people from Women in Film, the entire Anna Terry, her husband Todd Terry, their kids were in it.
Yeah, we know them real
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So, in terms of the crew, who did I take?
I'm talking like production designer, art director, makeup, wardrobe.
So we didn't have any of that. Everybody wore their own wardrobe. I didn't have a makeup person because it was during the pandemic and we had to keep it very tight, the crew really tight. So I was the production designer. Everyone was their own makeup person. Each actor was their own wardrobe aficionado. And so we didn't have any of those extra things, but I did bring Sydney Cox with me. I'd love to have her on every set I'm on for the rest of my life, because I think she's just very talented and smart in a variety of ways. I'm trying to think who else is on this set. That Andrew Red, he was the lighting gaffer from Jaded. He came on this time as the cinematographer. Sydney Cox brought the production assistant. And then Andrew, I really do like for the cinematographer to kind of bring some of their own people. I like everyone I know, I bring them on, and then if they want to bring someone with them, I love that, because then they feel they have sort of a buddy from projects prior that they connect with, and it just makes it kind of neat. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes it fun. I can't describe that. So whenever that's a possibility, I like to do that. And I really think the cinematographer should have a say in the team that they work best with, right? I think it makes it more cohesive.
Oh,
So
sure.
a lot of the people for the documentary I hadn't met before, but it was a really great group of people.
I have
Awesome.
a question, and that is, since you've been to a number of film festivals, I wonder if you have any advice for us about how to fest. I mean, are there things that you would highly recommend, things that people have to really avoid doing? So do you have any advice for us as we head into the Topaz Festival?
How to fest. You have to end up picking, if you get in a lot of festivals, you do have to pick and choose to a certain degree, right? Because you have to fly there. It can get expensive. If you're a winning film, usually they cover that, but you can't expect that. I have loved every festival I have personally attended. And the reason for that is because I pick them very carefully. I picked them according to their website, the people I was dealing with from the festival team. You get a vibe, I think. You just get a feeling for certain festivals. And I think you should just follow that, because again, it's an instinct thing. I've been to Topaz before. I think you guys do an unbelievable job. And I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that because this is a group of women volunteering their time, and you're all so admirable in your methodologies and your choices. And Topaz is one of those festivals. I mean, I haven't even met Alicia yet. And it's so bizarre because we've dealt with each other so many times, and I've reached out to her for advice or help. In fact, at one point I'd asked her to be the cinematographer for Jaded. She was busy. So it's those kinds of, you just get a feeling for it. But when you do decide to go, I think you should put a budget together for how many festivals you can afford to attend. And you kind of have a feeling for which ones you'd really love to get into. But when you go, immerse yourself completely, because when you do, it becomes this experience of epic proportion on so many levels. It has enriched my life. I can't even begin to describe it. You know, you connect with so many other creatives and you learn so much. You get exposed to so many other different ways and types of filmmakers and filmmaking. It just expands your world artistically. It's like going to any kind of beautiful event, whether it's a concert or an opera or you know, you come away, you feel as though you've been filled up. You feel as though your core of creativity has been nurtured. And I think it's almost like a high. It's this natural high of connecting, and it's electric. So when you decide to go to a festival, go to every single thing and hang out in the filmmakers lounge, because that's so wonderful. And we've just had such a wonderful experience with it. So I think that's the only advice I can give. Just completely immerse yourself in everything and every activity as a part of that festival that you can.
Well, that's great. We're very grateful. That was the perfect commercial for Topaz. So everyone here will, even if they don't have a film in the festival, will use this as a practice run. So I'm going to go and it's as if I have a film in this festival, and I'm going to be ready so that when I do, I know how it all works. So, so much, Marcia. This has been great. If no one else has a question, anyone else? Is that Miss Ella?
It's not, for once, it's not
Oh,
me
look at
with a
Miss
child running around.
So anyone else have anything they would like to ask of, oh, you know, we should take a few minutes, because we had promoted this meeting as being November's or October is the time to talk about what you're doing. And Marcia has been talking about her film Jaded. Tiffany's been talking about her film. I also have a film in DIF that I'm acting in called The Shit Squad, which is
Yay!
it's
I
a
can't wait.
comedy mob short directed by Jonathan Brownlee, and I get to be Martha the mobster. So please.
I saw the picture for that. I want to see that. I bet you're fabulous.
It's
Yeah.
really fun.
I've been seeing all of her photographs from this thing, and I've gotten to be very close with Gail, as you can imagine, running an organization like this. And I cannot wait to see this performance. I am just dying.
Oh, that's
really
exciting.
fun. So is there anyone else out there who has something coming up in the month of October, November, or December that they'd like to share with us? If not today, please send it to us, because we'll put it in the newsletter and blast it out to all of our
We
members.
really will.
I have one.
Who is that? Is that Pam?
Pam.
Hi, Pam.
I start shooting the last week of October, a supporting role in a feature film, Suncoast, with starring Woody Harrelson and Laura Linney.
Yay.
I have 4 scenes. They're all with Laura Linney, but the timing is such that I'm not going to get to meet Woody, even though he's a Texan, because he stops work the same day I fly
Of
out.
course he does.
Of course he does.
Well, I think if you take a wardrobe piece home with you and you need to return it to the wardrobe crew,
there you
they
go.
gets
There
on
you go.
set.
Yeah. And then I was cast in a horror movie that shoots in Shreveport. And because they were both happening at the same time, Suncoast is the one who got in touch with me first. And my agent said, well, here are Pam's dates, that she's available. And then the hurricane suspended shooting for 2-3 days. They're in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh my gosh.
And as a result, my dates got pushed back. And now it looks like I am going to be able to shoot the horror movie after all. So for the first time ever in my many, many zillion years of life, I'm actually have 2 films back to back.
Fantastic. What is the horror flick, Pam?
The Hangman.
Dun, dun,
Okay.
dun, as my daughter would say.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's
Thank
really
you.
thrilling.
I have something, it's not so much about me because I had, oh wait, no, I'm not muted.
No, we can hear you.
Okay, but I was really interested in what Marcia had to say about doing the different things. This is really about our fellow member, Wendy Pennington. And I had a very small part, no such thing as a small part, in her movie, A Dark Destiny, which she co-wrote and directed and performed in. And when you said about crew, it was one of the best experiences I've had. In fact, I was so impressed with this crew that I went to a day of shooting that I wasn't even in because I wanted
Aw.
to watch all of those people work. Because to me, I've always said it's like a dance. And so I think that I don't, and what you said about choosing your film festivals, they're going to all of these Western things because John, who's the star of this, is a real cowboy with his hat, and he's playing a sheriff who's in a small Western town. And so that was such an interesting perspective that you gave me about his choices of the film festivals that he's going to. So I just wanted to tout Wendy and what she has done with, as Marcia has said, just spherically doing all these different things. And I'm just, as I said, I went one day just to watch because they were all so talented. And our Tiffany was the makeup person on that. So that was such a great experience. So, and I want to thank you, Marcia. This has been really fascinating, really interesting. I've made notes. And I also, as a Dallasite, lived through, I probably saw you on stage because I was a big audience supporter of the contemporary theater and lived through that tragedy remotely. But so I'm really anxious to see this. So thank you for your time. Even though we didn't get to see, we're seeing your lovely face. We
No.
just didn't get to see your mouth move. So
So I'm the filmmaker who doesn't know how to put herself on film. Charlotte, I do know you. I've met you at the theater before years ago. You're so familiar to me, and your lovely face, I didn't forget it. So I know we have seen each other there. And thank you so much for sharing that. That's just, I hope I'll see you at Topaz. I would love to see you there.
yes, I'm planning. I have grandchildren that kind of run my life. So I have to, lucky me, I have to.
You and Sharon.
I'm writing down my dates of everything. I may be taking advantage of the online, but I really loved also what you said about going and immersing yourself, because I do that when I have the opportunity. I see everything, every movie, every film. So anyway, thank you, and I'm hoping I get to see everybody, depending on what my grandson is doing.
They can tire you out, so be careful.
Yeah, yes, they can.
All right, Gail, anything else, or should we conclude this meeting and I will stop the recording?
I think maybe if nobody else has anything that they want to say, I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much
Oh,
for.
wait, Nitzia has her hand up.
Oh,
Nitzia.
lovely.
Nitzia?
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Hi.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Miss Carroll, thank you so much for sharing. I hope to one day be able to coordinate something like that, as in make a film and then put it together and know how to budget and like just the whole shebang. That's so cool.
Oh, are you a filmmaker?
I am a production assistant.
Wow. That's an
Intro.
important job.
Yes. Well, from what I'm realizing, and I like it because I get to just kind of see what everybody's doing, be hands for everybody if anybody needs it, keep people hydrated in this Texas heat.
So important.
So
But,
Nitsi,
yes.
are you will you if you follow me on Instagram, I can follow you back, and I'm hoping that I would love to meet you at the festival if you think you're going to be there, or we could connect in that way.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm not quite sure yet if I'll make it, but I will definitely follow on Instagram.
She has a little bean at home, her little
Oh,
baby.
wow. Oh, okay.
Just
Yeah,
adorable.
we're definitely avataring it. I don't know if y'all have seen
Oh.
Avatar. They connect because she needs to go to bed.
And then Tiffany, how many do you have?
I was blessed with one single solitary child at the ripe old age of 42 years old.
Oh.
I was told I could not have children, and I proved them wrong, which will be the title of my book.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful and honored to have been here tonight. So much for thinking of me, and I hope you know how deeply, genuinely appreciative I am to be a part of the Topaz Film Festival this year, and I'm so excited to see you all in person. I really can't wait.
Yes, and when your documentary comes out, we will
Right.
talk about that on our podcast. Gail and I will have you on the Women in Film podcast. We're just saying.
I would love that. I would love that so much.
Yeah.
I wanted to put in one pitch for the Topaz Award recipients. We haven't talked about them. And
That's very
just
true.
know that there are 4 amazing women who are going to be honored at the Topaz Festival this year. Actress Dorothy Malone will be honored posthumously with a Legacy Award. Dr. Cheryl Pelote Williamson, whom I do not know, is the Advocacy winner. Beth Sepko Lindsay, whom many of us have auditioned for and hopefully been cast by, is the Gratitude Award recipient. And Joy Nash is the Rising Star. All of those women have been emailed to you if you're a member, and they're on the website. So please come and meet these amazing women.
I did see them all listed, and I'm so excited. I think it's such a beautiful, and also the films too, just a lovely lineup. I have a quick question. So I know Tiffany and Gail, I know how busy you guys are, like running everything, and you do such a lovely job. So do you have much interaction with Connie and Alicia, or do each of you kind of areas where you're overseeing kind of your area of expertise for Women in Film Dallas?
I'm happy to speak about that. When Connie and Alicia, I mean, I feel, for me personally, you know, Alicia was kind of my mentor in running on the board. She appointed me to be on her board before she left, and it was time for her she'd been working on the festival and running the organization, so it was just a lot. So she really felt that she has put her time into running the daily operations and the yearly stuff, that she just was excited to move into this new field of really just fully focusing on the film festival. And I think that those efforts was worth it. I think it was super great. I don't know how Gail and I would run a festival and do what we do here. It's allowed us to come up with more opportunities for programming and things like that. And they're just very passionate about it. And they've taken it from one level to the next, and they have researched it, and they've put all of their heart and souls and blood, sweat, and tears into it. And so they've run it. We as the board are absolutely, we get reports, and we get monthly reports from them, but you know, they're pretty autonomous as far as like the reason why I appointed them to be the directors of the film festival is because I know that they know how to do the film festival kind of deal.
Mhm.
So we kind of play it from that regards, but they definitely, you know, check in with us and we get reports from them monthly. And I
But-
talk to Alicia because she's my friend.
Well, it just
And-
seems like it's such a fantastic team. You know, I think I've been a member, I'm not even sure. I think I've been a member like 3 years. And I really do, and I'm saying this genuinely, I genuinely want to get more involved volunteer wise because I so admire what you're doing. And I actually pay attention to all of your work. And I've seen Gail perform before she ever even met me. I think the last time I saw you, Gail, was Dangerous Liaisons, and you were phenomenal. And so I do want to get more involved. I've been so caught up in my own situation that I haven't been able to, but I really admire what you've created. And I've just seen it grow beautifully in the 2 or 3 years that I've been a member. And it's just inspiring. And I'm not just saying that to kiss up, like I mean it. Like it's really inspiring, and it's so gratifying to be a part of it. And I really mean that. So it's so nice to meet you, Tiffany, because I've known Gail. I've known who Gail was for a while, even if she didn't know me, but I actually haven't ever talked before. So it's really lovely to connect with you.
You as well. I grew up in Dallas, and then I left and lived in New Orleans for 8 years. And then of course I had the baby. And so it was time to come back to my roots. And this organization is what, you know, got me back going here in Dallas, because I had done production here since 1998. So when I came back and I hadn't been here in a while and I didn't know anybody, this was the only way that I could get reconnected and start getting work. And that's what we're trying to do for everybody else.
Well, I would
Well-
also say, Marcia, that many of us, even people on this call also have been involved with a film festival, screening entrance, involved with determining who will be awarded and what awards. So there are a lot of opportunities to get involved, not only with women in film, but with the actual festival. So
Mhm.
keep yourself open to that possibility in the future.
Yeah, no, I would totally be interested in that. I find the whole thing fascinating, and they've done such a lovely, I mean, it's just such a lovely experience. I really can't wait to see you guys in person. Like I really mean that. I can't wait. You'll be there, right? For the in-person events?
Yes, I will be there. I have another convention I have to be at the weekend before, but in the in-person stuff, I'm hoping to be there. I am a makeup artist though, so I may have some work to do that weekend because it's like my biggest weekend of the year.
I understand.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be there as much as usually people are at their parties by the time, and I just may show up with makeup all over my hands and not need makeup on my face.
I didn't know
Which
you were a
is-
makeup artist. How did I not know that?
I don't, it's just
Well,
one
now
of-
I do.
I live spherically. It's very ADD, but it's very spherical too. I do a lot of this and a lot of that, a lot of that. The only thing I don't
Amen.
do is
Amen to
so-
that.
Okay, well, I guess we will call it a day. The only other, there was one more thing I want to put on everybody's radar. We are going to have one more kind of bash before our event, our extravaganza, and that is we're going to do a women's giving in November. And I thought it'd be kind of cool if you and the board agreed that we would maybe do kind of a recipe swap, like bring a recipe from, you know, one of your holiday dinners that you used to have growing up, and we can do a recipe swap at our November event. There's just too much going on in October though. We'll talk about November later.
That sounds great.
All right, it is 8:30. I'm going to stop recording and wish you all the best. We'll see you at the film festival.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I
Thank
loved
you.
every minute.
Good
Thank
night,
you, Gail.
everyone. You're very welcome. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.